Rich just left. He had enough of you guys. No. Hi, everybody. Ed here, Spark Innovations. Rich will come here in a minute. This is our live and Sparky show. Rich is going to plug in the internet wire.
The JAD wire.
Yes. So that we get a better feed. All right. It's always good because after like 30 seconds is when people really get it. Anyway. All right. Should be on the hard line now. All right. Now we are really live. Hi, everybody. Ed here from Sparked Innovations. We also have Rich coming in over here from Sparked Innovations as well. This is our live Wednesday show, and we're going to talk and chat and stuff, and feel free to hang out and comment. Paul says he loves my beard. Thanks. I grew it myself. And we do have a topic for today. Wednesday is more of the kind of structure, but we'll have a little loose structure today. What's up, guys? What's up, Ryan Nelms?
Hi.
At least it's real. I can't say the same for Richard.
Look, see the scalp?
Hey, I cut my own hair.
Look see the scalp. What? I think his hair looks actually pretty good. What do you guys think? He did it himself.
Yeah, you should see the hair on my back too. I cut that myself.
Yak.
I don't even know what that means.
It means my hair piece that I spent a lot of money on.
All right, so we're from Sparked Innovations. We design and create electronic and somewhat related to electronic products for the automotive aftermarket.
Yeah.
So if you
and the
don't
before
know
market,
that, and if you are interested in that, go to our website, sparkedinnovations.com. Our Facebook and YouTube are Sparked Innovations. If you have questions, comments about our products or about what we do, feel free here. We're going to have a topic we're going to bring to you, and we can discuss that as well. Is there any business to talk over? We did send out the 5 golden tickets. We're waiting for people to come back.
For them to come back. I think only 2 have been claimed.
Yeah.
And
the 2 T-shirt winners were chosen from before. We're going to hold off on doing that this week.
That's almost done, by the way. The adding in the shirts into inventory, and being available on the site for purchase.
Yeah. So we did give out a couple shirts and whatnot. We're just trying to get our inventory system straight with the shirts being in there because there were new ones and
there were B stock ones, and we had to account for them differently and blah blah blah. But that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
Okay, one item of business is this weekend we will be Scott Dilbeck. What's going on? We will be at the show in Virginia. Team Deadly Hurts, Jeff Lockhart, and Tim Johnson.
Yes. Tim Johnson's the one I was thinking about with the eyes.
Yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago, so now the show is a memorial show for both of those guys. So we have been there almost every year, and we're going to be there this year. We're going to take some of our T-shirts and some of our products. We're not going to have a whole lot, but we will have some specials. If you are at the show in person, come up to our booth and you'll see us there. That's this weekend in Virginia at the, is it Lucas Oil or it's some racetrack?
Some racetrack.
Yeah.
It's a motor speedway type of deal.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. What's the topic of today?
Topic of today is what sparked your interest in the hobby of car audio. It could also be trucking. It could be off-roading. It could be side-by-side ATV subs and
whatever
car
the
audio
niche of the car market is, the aftermarket car stuff in general, car
custom
customization,
cars, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we'll give kind of a brief. You've heard our stories before, but to get the ball rolling so that you can have time to leave a comment about what sparked your interest. We'll give ours. Do you want to give a brief 1 minute?
First, I want to say hi to Nick, and I can't wait for your Spark stuff to be installed. Neither. I want to see it, share pictures so that we can show everybody what a great job that you've done.
We do get pictures into our Facebook and sharing on Instagram sometimes. We really should do like, I don't know, an album of that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So for me, it happened a few ways. I think one of the ways, just naturally, I was into Hot Wheels and Matchbox, and there was, I think it was called the Red Rider, something like that. and the other one was
Oh, tubbed out in the back. There was a blue one and a red one.
Yeah, the Midnight Blues, I think, was the blue one.
Yeah.
And I had both, and I couldn't tell you how many times I would just stare at them, put them side by side, and then look at the big fat wheels in the back, tires in the back,
push them and make them pop wheelies.
Yeah, I just remember being obsessed with it and getting excited. This jolt of electricity, like this is awesome. And then my father took me to monster trucks when I was 5 to see Bigfoot, and that was. To feel the engine in your chest, for the first time was amazing. So I think I was kind of hooked right away just with that stuff. And then what was weird was my dad was a businessman. He was not a car guy at all. It skipped a generation. So his brother and cousin were both race car drivers. They did. My Uncle Joe did not Formula One. The Can-Am, I think, did. And my Uncle Rich was, straight line. He had a 66 442 with the tri-carb, really rare vehicle.
Are they available in 66?
Or was it 68? I can't remember.
It might have been right around 70.
I can't remember.
69.
I have it in my head.
Right.
But anyway, my father took me to the Civic Center when it was still there. And my Uncle Rich was exhibiting. I was 8 years old. And I remember just they had an escalator coming down and starting to see all these cars. I got chills. I just knew that I wanted to be a part of whatever that was. Fast forward a little bit, in our teen years, Pat Greenlee had a Nova. And it was really crappy, but I remember he opened the hood and had all this room in there, which I wasn't normally used to seeing. You're used to seeing all the plastic, everything's covered, but he had just an engine in the center and there was bare everything else. And he just had headers on it. He had it straight out and it was so loud. And I remember thinking to myself,
cars.
Yeah.
Performance was what got you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I met this dude, and he made my eyes vibrate in his,
and then Duster. We went out to the car.
In his Duster. He had, 6 Cervenvec XL 12s, and it was just I've never that was the first time I ever felt that kind of power in my skull, and that was another moment where I was like, I gotta, whatever that is, I need more of that. I gotta be part of that, and that kind of like fueled my obsession for car audio. So yeah, that's me.
It's kind of adrenaline with speed and power of the engine, then power and pressure of audio systems.
Yeah.
Real quick for Jonathan. I know I probably didn't get it exactly right, but I'm going off memory.
Oh. There's a blue shirt. No, it's Mr. Paisley.
It's not your fault.
Brad Paisley.
It's not your fault. Anyway, okay. So we won it. We got Robert Earl Jones, Jonathan DeMuth. Feel free, Paul. Tell us what sparked your interest in the automotive hobby. You can go very niche. That's Rich's brief background. You've heard mine. I'll get real brief. There was the car component with Hot Wheels, and I also used to work on my BMX bike and paint the frame custom and hodgepodge parts together. Before that, it was Legos. Was taking apart VCRs and TVs in my house.
Is it Lego?
Yeah, Lego, I guess, would be the plural. Yeah. So there was that component to it, and then there was magazines. My dad had a Ford F-100 truck.
Pictures of dudes in it.
And we used to go to Carlisle on a bunch of shows all the time. So there was the general interest in car culture, right? Reading Truckin' Magazine, the ads, Rockford Fosgate had ads. And I love John Kerry, Brad Newsom. A couple of these guys share some old ads on Facebook that they find, like the old Cervenvegan, Rockford ads, old Orion ads, things like that. Wayne Harris was sharing a couple photos as well. And that's the stuff. Those plus the articles where they covered someone's build that had audio in it really started appealing to me around the 6th, 7th grade range. And then 8th grade, I started taking that into building my own speaker setups in my bedroom. And then go to high school, then it's morphed into car audio. But that's really looking at those ads, like the way, and Rockford, the power to shake your mirrors, or the White Wolf thing, and just the look of those waffle iron amplifiers and a huge 18-inch woofer just appealed to me so much that I had to see it in person. I had to be involved with it. And then starting to go to shows, that's what got me to go visit a shop that had a flyer in 1995. They said they have a bass competition coming up. I begged my mom, I was still underage, I was 15, to use her vehicle, use her Bronco 2, put some stuff in it, take it and compete with that. And then I got to see in person all these people that did their own installs and competed. So I was hooked on that right away. And so all these things, like the graphic design of 80s and 90s ads, was much different than now, but they really appealed to me. Yeah. Flash forward now, I'm driving around in my car. I don't even have an audio system, but every time I stop and get gas, there's at least one person that comes up and compliments my car. There's always kids, because I have the color changing plastic dip. It's usually kids that are walking by staring and go, "Mommy, look at that. Mommy, look at that." Or at a red light, want to take a picture with their phone. And I am thinking in myself, if my car is now sparking an interest in this kid to be in our hobby and industry, to me, that's a great thing, because now they love it, and they see a fancy car drive by and they're telling people, "I saw this car, you wouldn't believe it was changing colors, this and that." "Oh, you're full of it. What are you talking about?" But that might make them more interested to follow that path, the same as it did the Matchbox cars to you, or seeing Gravedigger, or for me, seeing the magazine ads.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. First of all, do you have to iron waffles?
Yeah, you do.
With amplifiers?
Because all those square wrinkles in them.
Oh. So anyway, there was a guy named Dave Ingram, or Dave Driscoll, in our development when I was growing up, right across from us. He had a Chevelle SS. It was tubbed out, and he had slicks on the back. And we were down right where the two streets intersected and went into one. We would all hang out at that corner. We'd sit, and there was a lot of gravel that would collect there near the storm sewer. So he pulled up when we were little. He pulled up. I never forget the pipes out the back. You could see all the smoke coming out, and it was just really aggressive sounding. And he did a burnout with all the gravel there, and it all got flung in our face. Now, everybody else was mad at him, but I was impressed. I knew he did that to crap on us, but I was enamored with it. So now when I drive my ProCharge GTO through my neighborhood, there's this little group of kids, I would say age 5 to 8 or 9. And they're playing street hockey or whatever they're doing. They all stop and they kind of have that look and that smile. And I'll as I go by them, I'll either do a nice rev or, I'll chirp the tires or something like that. And you can hear them, "Oh, yeah,"
it brings a smile to people's faces for that brief moment. It's great.
And looking back, I can only imagine how many times there were other grown-ups, adults, whatever, that had cars that did that for me. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
Same thing. A big truck drives by and you want to boop, boop, honk the horn, or a train or something.
Let's go up. There's a lot of
I just went to that right there. Yeah. So Kevin Heilman, what's going on? Sean Mullen, still mixing muscle cars and bass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was talking about So mixing bass and muscle cars, I always thought was a great pairing, because when I had my 96 Beretta with 4 cylinders, going up a hill after I had my audio system installed was always a struggle. So I remember thinking to myself, I want to get a high-powered vehicle so that I can go up these hills without struggling. It was never about going fast. It was, I want to be able to have a car that performs decently with a big system in the back.
That's one reason I went with my SS. Remember my old HHR? So I went and picked up Rich somewhere once. He's like, "Why are you going so slow?" I'm like, "I have 160, 70 horsepower HHR, the base model HHR, and I have about 1,000 pounds of audio stuff in the back. He's like, "Why are you driving so slow?" I'm like, "I can't go any faster." What are you talking about? It was even worse with the Horizon. That was like 113 horsepower or something with probably 3,000 pounds and stuff.
Dad done custom old cars. Oh, that's great, man. You're lucky.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to make it sound like I'm not thankful for my father.
No,
I mean,
we never had a garage or anything. My dad owned a truck, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. If he would have been that father that, like, you know, showed me how to use tools, to this day, it's a joke. We, as kids, every now and again, we'll get my father a tool set for, you know, his birthday or Christmas or something. And it's a joke because, you know, he doesn't know how to turn a screwdriver. It's like the big joke. The guy, you know, owned and ran 11 auto body shops for over 30 years with his cousin and his brother and his family, but never knew how to use tools. So if I had that, oh my God, that'd be great. So now I'm lined up to do it with my son and my daughter as much as they're interested. And I forgot to tell you,
the rain.
My son did a car show last night. He planned it. He said, he messaged me. He said, Dad, when you come home, he said this weekend, but he meant tonight. We have a car show. I put him to bed. I put the girl to bed. And then he says, I'm ready. We go in. He has those little stick-on push lights, the LED ones. And he had them like all shining on the cars. He turned all the other lights off. And then he got his tablet out and he starts talking to the tablet. I guess he's like, he has a YouTube channel. He's like telling about the car and what this has got and everything. And after about 3 minutes, I
let's take him to a show.
But yeah, that kind of thing, like passing it on.
You want to read Nick's
I grew up, my dad always fixing cars. I always helped. Had go-karts and whatnot, so I always had the mechanic thing. That's freaking great. Had Hot Wheels and tracks and all. Got older, got a lot of vehicles that would need work and fix them up, customize, then some. Was around audio competition, but not until a few years ago. Man, you're lucky, dude. That is great. That is just great. I remember there was at one of my dad's shops, there was an old broken down golf cart, and I was dying to fix it up, but I wasn't allowed to touch it. And it kind of pissed me off a little, you know, because that would have been an opportunity for me to fail, to learn, to, you know, whatever. And there were tools everywhere. And there were guys that knew how to work on these things, were mechanical dudes. You know, they could have helped. But yeah, you're lucky, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it seems like a trend growing up around it is definitely a thing here. Here we have Sean.
Oh man,
anything with a motor.
That's great.
I love it. I love anything with. I'm also another hobby of mine that I actually got to take flying lessons in 8th grade. Is flying airplanes themselves, and that's something else with a motor. And I always wanted to build my own glider or parasail.
Do you ever see Radio Flyer?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Is
that from the 50s or 60s?
No, it had Elijah Wood in it.
It was Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
it might have been the 80s. That might have been one of the movies that got me into that. Oh. Same thing with Flight of the Navigator, Top Gun, all that stuff. So
Pee Wee Herman.
Here we got Robert Earl Jones Jr. So cars is all I know, and my uncle got me into loud systems. Oh, I ordered 2 temperature sensors also. Nice.
Hey, nice. By the way, and I didn't even tell you this yet. So we've gotten feedback from you guys on the existing temperature sensors that we had, and there were 2 requests. One was a longer lead, because the ones on there now are only about 6 feet. And the other one was read higher temperatures. Ours currently maxed out at 120, I think. So we are working with our IC supplier. And I just got a tracking number this morning on our latest, which is going to have 3 meters. So that's what, 9 feet?
About, yeah.
And it's also going to read up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to display in Fahrenheit.
Before we make them, we'll test and make sure everything's good.
But and we're also going to test it out with 5 meters, which is my initial spec, because I wanted 18 feet. I wanted to, you know, so you can measure amps. But the accuracy, as you get longer leads, the accuracy goes down. So we're going to have to test, and with that, within a margin of error, if we're satisfied with it, we'll be able to release that. So we are actively developing that.
You want to go grab one to show people what it looks like, what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Here we got Jonathan DeMuth. I went to a show where a guy had 18, 15-inch woofers. That freaking took my breath away. It was Virgil Williams. I've heard a lot about Virgil Williams, maybe from you. But that is also something, going to a show and having someone there to impress you. That's always something. And so Rich was talking about the temperature meter. It's in the same footprint and display, digital LED display, as our voltmeters. So if you are interested in those, we do have one version available now. And as Rich is saying, we are working on a higher temperature version also. Randy Kessel in the house.
Hi, Randy.
Choke change.
How's it?
When I was about 10, here we go.
Oh, T-bucket. That's on my list, man. Yes.
Exposed motor and side pipes.
Oh,
you know, I love you go to a lot of like local car shows, like with the classic and muscle car shows, and it's the same thing, right? You see like the Bel Airs, and you know, you don't see much variety. Well, one time down at the Lansdale car show, it was a Ford Model T, but it was a wood square cube on the back. And I've never seen this before. I've never even seen pictures of it. And apparently it was restored original. I was like, man, that was, and the door was like that slim, that from the B pillar to the windshield, because you like sat in the back. And I'm like, oh, for SPL, a Model T, that'd be great.
Yeah, the T-bucket. You know, it's funny. My parents were the types. They were so like practical, and all they were concerned about was either me getting hurt or making an expensive mistake or something like that. That's why I wasn't allowed to run power wire through my firewall. Mm-hmm. We weren't allowed to drill into my firewall when I had my Beretta. But the reason I thought about that was the T-bucket. I remember seeing one of those driving down the street when I was young, and I was like oogling over it. And my mom was like, "Oh, you know how dangerous that is? You get in an accident, you're dead." You know, like that's all she could think of is like the danger of being in an exposed vehicle like that. I don't know. Country that always said we broke it, we had to fix it.
You know, necessity is a thing. If you don't have a lot of resources, and that's what did I say? It was either a meme or a story.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Something said to the effect of, now you know why your grandmother washed her tinfoil. Because growing up in World War II, Great Depression, people of that era, it wasn't the just go buy new, just replace it. You know, the culture was much different. And they had an appliance that broke mechanically, you fix it. And nowadays, like your dishwasher or your microwave, something's wrong with it, almost no one fixes them. You just replace it, right? So back then, they're washing their tinfoil and reusing it and whatnot. So necessity can lead to you learning skills or even a trade, which is pretty valuable, I think.
Yeah, when we were kids, we used to go into the woods, and it was a learning experience because we would build forts, and wood was a precious commodity. Like any board of wood that was usable, that didn't have, you know, too many nail holes in it, or you know, it was like precious. And we would treat that stuff like it was gold. But I'd go home and my habits would be completely different. But it taught me how to really appreciate something and reuse it and find multi-purposes for it. And like, even though like we would find a pallet that had good wood on it, you know, it wasn't like cracked, and we would gently, like, you know, pry the nails out of it or the staples out of it, and we would use that as slatting or whatever. Like, it really does teach you how to, I guess, appreciate things. And
well, if I wanted something, I had to build it myself and do it. So you learn how to use a tool. You learn how to think as far as building, mechanical stresses, whatnot. Let's go back to comments. So between Paul, working on anything cool? We're trying to get ready for the show this weekend. Filling back orders. So that goes over to Kevin. I don't know what order that's in.
Let me go find out, Kevin.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch. Well, you can message him.
Well,
later. So we do have a back order list that we're going through right now, and we are leaving for the show on Friday. Kate will still be here working, but we will be driving on Friday. All right, we got Sean. New project I'm getting ready to pick up is an 83 Regal wagon. Gonna go through it and start my first dedicated SPL build, metal cage and all. Ooh, an 83 Regal. I think that would be more of a unique thing to see on the SPL scene. I loved Team Superior Sounds out of Erie had an old Ford Pinto wagon that they used, and I love seeing that thing around. That was cool.
Switch panel, acrylic, or HDPE.
I don't know that machine's
been wonky. If we can get a panel done tomorrow, then it'll go out before the show. Yes.
Yeah, but it's unforeseen.
Working on anything cool? Yeah, but like we've said in past live shows, we have to be careful of what we say because all these things are at different stages of development, and we're also working on some OEM deals where we might white label a technology that we're coming out with. So
here we have Orion.
But yes, we're always working on cool things.
This is a big comment.
First taste of car audio was my uncle's Oval VW Bug. He had some subs in it, and it sounded great. That's rare, especially when you have all that sheet metal that can vibrate. Took me a few bug shows too, and I love seeing some installs. The most epic I seen was the Infinity Kappa bug down at the Traxxas Motor Speedway back in the 90s. Bug had bit me from there. My first build was an old Montgomery Ward's riding mower, and I put a pair of thumb subs in the garden trailer. Ran off a Craco cassette deck. Jeez, going back, man. This was in the very early 90s. Yep. From then on, I had my hands in everything car audio to the point of building amps out in Arizona in the 90s. Xena family was always big into car audio. Man, that's great.
Arizona was a sweet spot back in the day. I mean, that's where where
Rockford was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rockford, probably Soundstream and maybe Orion MTX. That was like their version of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, you guys, I got to keep mentioning this. You guys are really fortunate that you grew up around this type of thing and you had at least one family member or friend that was into it or exposed you to it or encouraged it. I felt like I was a late bloomer because I came into it so much later. I remember being in high school and thinking like, I'm too old. I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, I'm too old. I got friends who have, already been building cars and car audio systems, and I'll never be able to do that. He's a big influence on me because every time I would say something like that, he would say, well, let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh,
that's the thing. It is hard to do it as an island. Like I said, I grew up on a block where we didn't have driveways or garages. So no one there worked on cars. My parents, I didn't have older brothers. I had older sisters. So the trailblazer, as it were, into getting into this hobby and my family was more so me, with some subtle influence from my dad because he had interest. He didn't actively work on vehicles, but he had an interest in them. So that kind of went off to me. So it is tough to do it as an island. The other thing is friends, a local shop to hang out with. As far as friends are concerned, all my whole other group of friends, they don't really have hobbies where they work with their hands. One plays a lot of different sports. They're into video games and traveling and things like that, but they're not tweaking on their car or audio systems, anything like that. I was the one doing that. And then Rich knew those guys, but not part of that friend group. So we kind of like did that on the side together. Mm-hmm. But, having a friend group that would be into that was my time at Circuit City. So this was 98 to 2005 when I worked there. So that was kind of my college years, I guess you could say, that age range of 18 to 25, where all the guys in the shop were into cars and car audio, and we kind of supported each other and drove it into each other. I was a little more extreme than them. I was building an SPL vehicle at my house and partly in the shop at Circuit City, and those guys were just kind of like doing fun little things here and there. But we all, I think, inspired each other and helped drive each other more because we were around each other, that frame of mind, coming in with the magazine. Hey, you see this guy? Look at this. And, showing each other things. They're like, oh, this new car's coming out and blah, blah, blah. It's just part of the culture. And and it's hard to do that as an island,
Oh, yeah. Is it Heilman had a question about?
He said, I'll get to him.
Yeah, it's in chat.
I'll get to you. Yeah. I'll message you later, Kevin. Choke change. My project car might be a mail truck. That'd be fun. I have seen a couple mail trucks in SPL and drag racing.
Yeah, female trucks too.
Yeah. M&M Alphasonic. M&M. What was the M&M Godfather? Is that what it was called? Yad Brothers, and I'm the only basshead in the family. Yeah. I mean, my little brothers, I got to go to shows with me, and specifically Billy did get into it a little bit to want to build stuff. But again, not as extreme as I did.
Ron, you made
it right when we were about to sign off. Yes, M&M Godfathers, I got it. That was some old stuff. I don't think they're around anymore.
There's a lot that's not around anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately. There's, stuff comes in and goes out.
When your system's hurting, wild punk for certain.
All right. So we were talking about what sparked your interest in your hobby, specifically around cars, car audio, the aftermarket customization stuff. So we're going to sign off, but you are welcome, if you're watching this later, to leave a comment and tell us the story of what sparked your interest in all of that. On Friday, we will try to possibly do a live.
Yeah,
like I said, we're going to
we're
going to be on the road getting to the show. We might just show up around 6 p.m. We might not have signal. We don't know. So possibly Saturday during the show, if we get decent signal, we'll do a live from the actual show. So that's Virginia. That's the Team Deadly Hertz show. We will be there with the Sparked Innovations booth. You can check us out, sparkedinnovations.com, Facebook and YouTube at Sparked Innovations. Go check it all out. We got some cool stuff going on. If you are at the show, come over and see us. Say hi.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. And let's check out your ride. If you are there and you're giving out demos, I'll go and sit in it. Rich might have a headache, but
I still got to take care of my nuts.
Oh,
yeah. I got a vasectomy on Thursday, so it's still a little tender. I don't know if the base is going to.
Yeah, I used zip ties and the cutter.
He did a pretty good job. He was gentle. I was surprised.
It was the mini truck guys from high school. Yeah, I was into mini trucks too. That was another thing. Going to the trucking Carlisle All Truck Nationals. I wanted an S10, the square body S10. That was my dream. Still is. Maybe someday. David Monroe, later, guys. All right, everybody. We're going to sign off. So hopefully we'll get to see you this weekend. Have a good one.